question. I feel like the black man is always treated as the lowest person to be in all non-black societies.
And you're correct in that. You're correct in that because of the infrastructure and the systemic racism that Western societies are built upon. There's no doubt about that. And what I would say to the questioner, if you look up a book by a white author called Robin DiAngelo, a woman, okay, and it discusses white fragility, because that is a thing. White fragility, white rage, and how that predicates the structures that are built societally to protect whiteness. Now you've got, I've seen some arguments from poor white people saying, well, we're poor and we're still suffering. But like I referred to the indentured slaves, white slaves, when the commodification of blackness took place, they can still tap into or be visible within the infrastructure of the white racist system. They can still garner support because of that recognition that they are of the same ethnicities for which the structure has been built. So yes, blackness, black people within a Western construct are the bottom rung or at the bottom rung. But we don't need to remain there if we start applying our standards, our criteria of excellence, our own measures of validation. Because at the moment, I'm not saying we ignore what is already in place. You can't, because you will not be able to move left or right. But in acknowledging that those constraints are there, wayak, in not acknowledging that those constraints are there, you know where the boulders are, you know where the barriers are, so you either know how to diminish or start working at removing or reducing those barriers, or redirecting our focus, our energies, our attention into new avenues that we create. That's how we start moving from that bottom rung. We don't look at the scraps that are being thrown off the table to us, towards us, and we don't judge solely by the criteria that's been placed upon us. We need to look and reach further back into our history. We need to look at our religion, those of us who are Muslim, we need to look at our religion taking off the Arab-centric lenses, the Asian-centric lenses, the annihilist lenses that we feel that we have to be fulfilling particular stereotypes of society, but this time instead of wearing skinny jeans and whatever, we're wearing a thobe. No, we need to redefine, and we need to understand that Islam, this is the thing that really empowers me about our faith. There will not be ultimate societal change until we understand how to implement our faith individually within ourselves. And then when we look at the prophetic way, we look at the manhaj, we look at what happened in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, and that's why it's important to study it within and contextualize it within our lives now, not to leave it back nearly 1500 years ago, because only then, when we can embody the deen as Allah has revealed it through his last messenger ﷺ, then we can start seeing changes, seismic changes in Western society, in the same way we saw seismic changes in the Qurayshi society at that time. We saw that it was Tawheed that dismantled the infrastructure of that society and the Arabian Peninsula. We saw that dismantled by Tawheed, and the adherents to Tawheed were none other than the Prophet ﷺ and his Sahaba, who understood what Tawheed meant, not just religiously, ideologically, but what it meant practically. And I believe, and I know what I'm saying maybe sounding revolutionary to an extent, I believe when we look at that model and we refer to it first and foremost in ourselves, Western societies and the hegemonic hold they have over other parts of the world will start to crumble, because they cannot exist in this oppressive state for so long. As long as there exists in those societies those who are adhering to this faith, again, without the Arab-centric lens, the Asian-centric lens, the Nigerian-centric lens, bringing those cultures in as we started this whole session, but making sure those cultures are compliant and conducive to our faith, our deen, our way of life.
Circle of